forgot that hot mic. Well, you can say turd on radio. You can say turd on TV.
See, you don't look as lit over there. I'm like lit up over here for some reason. Now let me switch over here.
A little more pigment. You're fine. You look fine. Oh God, what are you? 37? What is it? What are you? 36. They go fast, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
All right, 10 seconds.
yours. Getting those like toilet paper. The older to get, the faster it grows. It
All
goes,
right.
man.
That didn't even make sense.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thank
Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now. 559-899-1550.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Free for All Friday, and that means we get to have my wife, Kimberly Autry. And, man, we are really honored. We usually have Stephen, because Stephen Cloud just got a whole lot better looking here. But it's Guillermo Marino. Stephen Cloud is off preparing for his big movie with Bruce Willis and Dolph Lundgren. And so we wish him the best. Sounds like it's going to be a pretty good film, fun film. Some big names in there. And so Steve was able to land this.
He's going to have me on there spray tanning him.
No, you're not. You don't. Only certain parts will you be allowed to spray tan. Oh, my goodness. Free for All Friday.
I'm honored. This is my first Free for All Friday. I've never done one of these.
Oh, you'll never.
You just got to say what's on your mind.
You'll never be the same.
I'll never be the same.
It's life altering.
I'm not prepped, and this is good, right? You're prepped.
Oh, gosh, I just got it.
So that means I can just turn all your prep over right now because it's Free for All Friday and say, no, you can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shoot, I can't see them anyway. I'm not going to wear these glasses.
My Free for All Friday's a little different than his, but I'm
you might want to talk into that mic if you cough.
Hey, it's Free for All Friday.
I'm going to start taking a little control.
You're no help here,
Fridays.
dude. You're no help here, Guillermo.
Kim, it's Free for All Friday. Just shove that mic out of the way.
Exactly. I mean, put it where you want it.
Stir that stuff up. Yeah, the side of you I haven't seen before. Yeah. Okay. Well, Kim, you got something we're going to start with, but let's look at first. We got some breaking news. These beautiful monitors that Guillermo put in here. We can get things to you folks on Free for All Friday as they unfold. And boy, how joyful on Free for All Friday to say that the U.S. and Russia is on the verge of war. That sits night harkens back to 1962. A little 10-year-old Alan Autry, Carlos Brown, was watching TV, and the brink of the country and the world were on the brink of World War III when John F. Kennedy told Khrushchev, if you cross this line, it's some bad stuff's going to happen. And we knew what bad stuff was. People started building bomb shelters, talking about nuclear war. Then Khrushchev stopped those ships, and everyone, including let me tell you, don't ever underestimate what a 10-year-old knows. Mm-hmm. So remember, it's 10 years old. Remember that exactly like it was yesterday. These young kids out there, they're processing. They know what's going on. You're hearing stuff like, here we are again facing down Russia but we got Anthony Blinken saying if you cross this line and you invade, you will face severe consequences. And John F. Kennedy saying you will face a full retaliatory response. Now, the Russians back down. My point here to start out with, this is the same Anthony Blinken that orchestrated our pullout from Iraq, which created ISIS.
Oh, I forgot about
the
that.
Same Anthony,
Totally forgot.
The same Anthony Blinken, along with Milley and Austin, that along with Joe Biden, did that wonderful withdrawal from Afghanistan a few months ago. And that same team is getting ready to tell Russia, if you even do a little minor incursion. Now, Joe Biden the other day said, hey, a little minor incursion,
Yeah.
it's going to be met with, okay, we can let you get away with a little bite there, a little bite of the apple. But now Blinken's come on and said, no, severe response. What do you think about all this? This is just crazy. This is nuts to go in the Ukraine, to make the Ukraine the flashpoint for a possible World War III.
Well, here's what's going on. You got two different people running the country, and I don't know you got the Joe Biden, which is really just the face. That's why he went out there 2 days ago and said whatever came to his mind and really spilt the beans on everything. And then you have the people that are really running the country. I don't know who that is, and they're just like, oh my goodness, wait a minute, no. That's why they're doing this cleanup here. The biggest thing that I saw, and it was this morning, and it was on Fox, it was they met in Geneva. You had Secretary Blinken and the Russian counterpart. And the Russian guy was way older than Blinken. And he walked into that room and he had a pep in his step. Man, the guy was all smiles. And then I looked at Blinken and he looked like the start of a Pepto-Bismol commercial. His face, and he just looked so down and somber. And the Russian guy like, hey there, come in, old buddy. And just to see the Russians right across the table from the Americans looking at our side and just having this big sense of empowerment, because they know, hey, we saw all your cards. We know where you stand. And to see the Americans, to see us in a position of vulnerability.
They love it.
They
love it. They love it.
Yeah,
well, and the last time you saw that on Blinken is when he sat down with the Chinese delegation.
Yeah. Yep.
And they just lambasted him, smack-talked him about human rights.
Yeah.
Here's China with 1 million Muslim Uyghurs, slave labor, a horrendous history of human rights violations, especially against women, Kim, where they were killing, literally infanticide. If it was a girl baby was killed, people say, oh, they didn't do that. Look it up. They even say they did. And now you watch that, and you watched Blinken shrink right from the get-go for China. Like you said, Guillermo, Russia saw that.
Oh, man.
They saw that. And the thing about bullies, if you don't stand up against bullies, they don't suddenly stop punching.
No.
Bullies don't do that. They continue to punch until you fight back. Now, am I saying you should have World War III over this? Not over the Ukraine. No, I'm sorry. It's something that's going to have to be explained to me why we're even willing to even entertain the thought of sending American troops to the Ukraine. What you just got out of Afghanistan, and now you're talking about taking on a superpower who, by the way, has more nuclear weapons than we do. And
talk about what needs to be rioted is that don't go. We don't need to send them there.
Well, the point is I agree with you. And I don't think there's a case to be made. And I think most people are asking, you got the tough talk. But number one, what is the strategic necessity in the Ukraine for us to take this position? Is it America's responsibility? By the way, the Ukraine, and I'm not carrying water for Putin. I'm just being purely analytical about this, because I don't want our kids over there fighting a war that we don't know why we're there, with no way to win it, because you're not going to win that war.
I agree. We got to be careful. And maybe you disagree with me, which, hey, it's Free for All Friday. I used to have a very non-interventionalist approach. Like, you know what? It ain't none of our business. Why are we going to go stick our nose in anyone else's business? But it all becomes our business, especially in our globalized society. So I'm not a non-interventionalist. I'm a realist now. Afghanistan, I would have stayed. Because strategically, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
And now with the Ukraine, strategically, it might not geographically, But you got to send a message to Putin and say, hey, ain't going to happen. Because if he does it there, then he's like, he wants more. How does the saying go? You take an inch and you want a whole yard. So
that's his personality.
But it is, yeah.
But there's an old saying in the South that don't let your alligator mouth overload your hummingbird butt. Does America really have the capability to draw the line on Putin there in that part of the country? We got to understand, Ukraine borders the Soviet Union. No, it's no longer Soviet Union. It's Russia. Borders Russia. Putin has basically paid off all of Europe with that pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
That Nord Stream pipeline there. He owns the energy for Germany. Step back, not confront Putin as vociferously as they've done in the past.
It's only 45%, Alan. Biden said it's only 45% of his economy.
Yeah, exactly. Only
not a lot. It's not a lot.
But are we going to get the adamant support from our allies? He talks about NATO. How many countries in NATO, push comes to shove, are going to say, I'm going to stand by you, the United States of America. And if he does this minor incursion, in which Blinken said no such thing, you go in there, there's going to be severe. What does that mean? Does it mean a cyber attack on Russia? Does it mean sanctions? Sanctions don't really work against Russia.
Joe Biden said, hey, no, these are going to be tough.
Yeah.
45% of his economy isn't relying on these things, but it's going to be tough. He knows what I mean.
Yeah. And exactly.
God,
and
that's just like, it makes me
I just
cringe.
think it's a bad situation there. It's people are yapping, barking, using rhetoric at a point that's way beyond what should be used right now, because you're going to be held accountable for your words and your actions. The world is watching and listening, and our enemies are making policies based on what they see. They saw this press conference, Guillermo, Kim. They saw how weak this president was. They saw how meandering that he is.
Oh, they're having a field day.
And they have to sit back there and say, and China and Russia have to be saying this, discussing this. If not now, if we're going to make the move on Ukraine, we're going to make a move on Taiwan.
No.
When will we have a better chance than right now? And that's a scary, scary thought.
Don't you wish we had a bully back in office? Because remember when there was a bully can talk to another bully, and you're in the schoolyard, right?
Yeah.
A bully. I've never seen two bullies go at it because a bully's able to control another bully. You could say whatever you want about Trump, but when he didn't have any of the gaffes that he had yesterday. China, Xi Jinping knew, Putin knew, the guy in Syria was a bot. No, you know the guy.
Assad.
Assad. There you go. They all knew. Hey, you don't mess with the Americans. They got Trump over there. He means what he says.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? I feel like that we don't all really miss. I was telling Alan this, that we don't miss Trump really, but we miss leadership.
I miss Trump.
We miss leadership.
Yeah.
You know, we miss having a leader, a strong leader. We have not had that in so long. I'm talking about the red, the red and blue.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sometimes these bullies, these dictators, they understand plain English when it's translated into their own language. When Kim Jong-un started flaunting that he had nuclear capability on missiles that could reach the United States now, and Trump told him, well, we have more.
Yeah.
And we can reach you now.
I love
you notice the rhetoric?
Yeah. It's
the rhetoric from OWN. They became best buddies.
Yeah.
Dude's going, hey, I don't do this, Robin. Can you get Robin over here? They're buddies.
Yeah.
But as you said, Guillermo, there's a certain language that, you're going to try to out-tough me, out-bully me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if bully, I would say the right, but I get what you're saying, the context. You got to stand up. I don't think people would call Reagan a bully, but he was steadfast in his policy of peace through strength.
If you let people sit there and run over you, they'll continue to run over you. It's like the series we've been watching, Yellowstone. The whole family, crazy things going on. If you don't stand up for yourself, they're going to continue to walk over you. You've got to make yourself strong, solid, and proud you did it.
Ripped for president.
But here's the big, what's that?
Ripped for president.
Yeah. You watch that Yellowstone.
I do. What's the gal's name?
But the question before we go to the break. But the question before we go to break here,
Take someone to the train station.
Real quickly, is this though?
I'll go.
Is what's happening in the Ukraine? In the Ukraine, explain to me why that is the hill we're willing to die on. That is so in such interest of the United States. It's such a strategically important place geographically. They're not a member of NATO. They're, by some estimations, one of the most corrupt countries in Eastern Europe. You have a lot of, who are they? Where do they really stand on things?
Well, literally,
until those things are figured out, I think they need to cool the rhetoric, and we just go to break. Blinken just called for all Americans to get out of the Ukraine. Now that's, if you're just playing games like that, or if you know something and the Russians are getting ready to go, you need to have a summit now. Now they're meeting now, Russia and United States, lower level folks, but this is highest level stuff. This is red phone stuff. This is red phone with Biden and Putin. You pick up the red phone, man, and you right.
Absolutely. You're right. And Trump would have done that.
Yeah, Trump would have done that, and I'm not saying. Okay, this is Alan Autry, No Retreat. We'll take a break, pay some bills. When we come back, oh gosh, let's talk a little bit about this January 6th commission, Kim. You talked about Ivanka Trump being asked to come and testify, and what all this is. What is the January 6th? What is the end game on this when you're asking Ivanka Trump to come in? We're going to talk about that.
That's Joy on The View.
Yeah, well, she's got the answers.
Oh, my God.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, your intro, man, that gets me.
Man, it gets me every time. I can come in a little court low, and I hear King in there. Except it starts off with Larry Powell going, from the NFL to Hollywood, to the mayor's office. Yeah. Man, that dude can't keep a job.
Let me ask you this. What? And I don't think I've ever asked you this. When they say your bio, what do you want to be said first? Because you've done so much. Each and every one of those could be number one. So
exceptional father, great husband. No. Mark that off the list.
No, seriously, what?
Are we doing X's and O's or X's and check marks?
I don't know.
Because I don't know what's appropriate.
Football scripts and politics.
But does football?
That's how you kind of win.
No, but does football go first, or does the mayor's?
No, it's just
his faith, freedom. I like what your young man did.
Nobody said on the bio though.
I don't know. You saw that. That's why
I like what he did. I like it. I'm very picky too. I like what Matt.
The only thing matters. It's like using a football analogy. You're only as good as your last game. So my bio is what I'm doing now. That's what I'm doing now. Making movies, doing this show, trying to help do what I can to contribute to a stronger America and hopefully leave a better, stronger America behind.
It's like your faith, movies, and then your football gave you the freedom to do your acting.
And being, like I said, politics. Trying to be as good a husband and a father as I can, and friend. But it's look back on it, and you just all those things that you did. You're going, man, what a ride.
Yeah, you don't want to get back in. I know, Kimmy. I know you don't want to get back into it.
What's that?
Politics.
You wait on the calling, Guillermo. It's never been political decisions on my part. It's never been a calculation. It's just been a calling. In fact, anything I've ever done since about 35 years ago at the Ditch Bank has been a result of a calling. That's why some people are going, why is he doing that? It's just, if I feel the calling in my heart and I discern, at least I discern that's a calling from above, then I'm obligated, required to act upon it, because that's the deal I made. I was strung out in alcohol and drugs for 8 years.
Oh.
Not long.
I was
really compared to most people. I mean, you got off easy.
8 years.
You can't even complain, dude.
8 years of hell, though. But I made that promise. I said, whatever you want me to do, please just make it clear.
Some people call that 8 years of La La Land.
Yeah.
They haven't been my 8 years. 8 years of hell and back.
Did you listen to my show yesterday?
I didn't get a chance.
The report on homelessness came back. And I guess so. The county, I didn't know this. Fresno County has a civil grand jury. I don't know what their job is, but they came out with a report saying, "Hey, there's too many irons in the fire. City's not talking with the county.
Exactly.
You guys have no idea.
Exactly what we found out.
Okay, but they just got awarded $66.5 million
It's money
for the homeless.
To get him going on that.
Yesterday.
Throw money at it.
No, Guillermo, yesterday.
Wow.
The city got awarded from the state $66.5 million for housing homeless.
5 seconds. Hold on, honey. Hold on.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. Call Alan now, 559-899-1550.
And if the old Bonanza theme can't get your fire burning, then your wood's wet. Welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat with Kimberly Autry and Guillermo Moreno. You can hear him most days, 4 p.m. Great show, Guillermo Moreno Show. I'll never forget what a guy told about Bonanza. He says, yeah, it's a show about one middle-aged cowboy and 3 sons that are as old as he is. You ever watch that show? It's actually kind of true.
I love it.
Miss old Bonanza. Hey, before we get into this January 6th, though, I got to address this thing in terms of Mayor Dyer that the Fresno Bee came out with breaking news. I'm not picking on Fresno Bee, but, come on. Gosh darn it. It got to be a real slow news day when you take an anonymous complaint filed by the Fair Political Practices Committee that Mayor Dyer may have used donations to his foundation inappropriately and this and that.
Come on.
Number one,
that's just
some people because I have on this show openly criticized our mayor and our police chief for their approach on crime, and I stand by that. I don't see a tough enough approach, and sometimes your best friends seem like they're not your friends at the time, but when they really are. I'm their best friends. They don't know it. They will down the line. And I'm willing to take the heat right now because it is a matter of life and death all over the country. And I'm concerned about Fresno because it's our home. Guillermo, you hit it a lot hard as well. It's just you have to bring the hammer down on career criminals, violent crime, and not doing that. Now, I can compartmentalize that. I want to qualify that by saying I firmly support this mayor. He's a friend of mine. I believe in him. Did a great job as police chief, and I think he's going to grow into being a really good mayor.
He is.
In certain issues,
he's a good man.
And I wouldn't pick out, even criticize him on public safety if it wasn't so dang important. It is about life and death. If you don't feel safe going out of your home, you do not have a quality city. And cities all over the country are experiencing that, and they expect their mayors and their police chiefs to step forward. So I can very easily, in my heart, justify that piece with making those criticisms, and they know it. But when I come over here and I see him unfairly attacked and put in the news that this man somehow misappropriated funds, let me tell you, Jerry Dyer is a very honest human being, one of the most honest human beings I've ever met. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's start with that. And you think that I'm going to pile on and say that this is appropriate? That I'm going to criticize him for that? You're barking up the wrong tree here. I think it's frivolous. It's he started this foundation, One Fresno Foundation, for a great purpose, and that is to help fund worthy projects that help the quality of life and bring a story of One Fresno stronger together. And so, anyway, if it wasn't even a name attached to it, Guillermo,
I was going to say, I don't know. I piled on yesterday on my show.
Okay.
I originally said, listen, this is what happens when you try to be friends with the left. The Fresno Bee, it's an election year. They'll be your friend. They'll be your friend in an off year. They'll want you to talk to them. But, man, when they get that opportunity, they're not going to forget Jerry's a registered Republican. They're not going to, and that's why they took this opportunity. This One Fresno thing, I've never liked the motto, to be honest with you, even as a campaign motto, because we're not two Fresnos. I don't believe we are two Fresnos. I don't believe we have and you know this. We don't have a perfect pass. No city does.
Right.
But to say we need to be one Fresno, you're almost playing into the narrative of like, hey man, Fresno's divided. And I've heard of the north of Shaw, south of Shaw, and I've always said, you know what? You got wealthy people north of Shaw. You got poor people north of Shaw. You got wealthy people south of Shaw. You got poor people south of Shaw. So I've never this One Fresno thing, and I've said it many times. Jerry, drop it. It's a campaign motto. It's good as a campaign motto, but coming up, and I've seen many press conferences where his staff now have given it's a great question. but we're headed towards a one Fresno, and this is why we got it. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you're just giving the motto out now. And I didn't know in that article in the Fresno Bee about the alleged, and it's all allegations, but I don't know why.
Anonymous.
Anonymous, it was a liberal. It was a liberal in city council. Probably a council member tipped someone off, but I don't know why he felt the need to start a nonprofit for a one Fresno nonprofit, and then have the same staff be the board of directors of it. To me, it blows my mind. You're the mayor. If you want to help the city, you got you got COVID money. Like, why are you going around to the same people that contributed to your campaign and ask them for more money, but put it on this pot? And here's the other thing. Here's my issue with one Fresno. Now he's using it. So now it's almost taxpayer funded, because now he's using it as kind of a Fresno motto, but everybody knows it's tied to Jerry. Now you got that's a taxpayer.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, let me tell you, that's what I love about your station here. It's about nobody tells you what to say. It's not like CNN where everybody's getting on the same talking points.
Yeah.
And NBC, MSNBC, they have these same talking points. They get on the same page. And you got to toe the party line, and that's not the way it is on KXEX 1550. And I understand a lot of what you're saying, and it does have merit. My point is, as a friend of his and having seen him in situations, that his honesty and his integrity, I believe, is very, very strong. I don't think he knowingly didn't dot an I or cross a T.
Yeah.
But I do believe his naivete, as you pointed out, as you laid that out, there's a lot of merit to what you're saying for discussion. Why do you have this organization? It's kind of asking for perceptual misleadings, if you will.
Yeah.
What they call the optics don't look good, especially when you have some high profile people contributing that have already contributed. It just kind of opens you up for suspicion and saying thoughts. So anyway, hopefully it'll be resolved. And
another thing is, this. Well, I mean, like we were just talking over break, is that the city just got $66.5 million that was pointed to the city from the state, and that was announced yesterday. So the $66.5 million is supposed to go for housing and homeless and air quality and things like that.
And that's
so
like Guillermo.
Maybe his nonprofit is part of seeing where those funds go.
Well, that's what Guillermo's saying. Though. That's what he's saying. It's a soup for confusion. You just put something in there and you commingle funds. That's where you get in a lot of trouble. Because nobody's watching it enough.
Well, he's never been in that situation.
You know what it is, and that I've never seen Alan do. And I'll be honest, I mean, you're in front of me. It seems that politicians after their office want a second act, and they want to set themselves up for a second act that's still connected. Ashley's got a very great organization going, right? And I'm not sure if maybe Jerry's starting to lay the foundation, because he's like, hey, I still want to be, after I'm done being mayor, I still want to keep doing good things. So I don't know if they're trying to set up these foundations to go and say, look.
Well, he actually took Swearingen's foundation. That's what One Fresno is. And he renamed it.
So, okay.
He renamed it One Fresno. So he took that nonprofit.
Gotcha.
Renamed it.
Just renamed it One Fresno. And you make good points, too. I don't necessarily agree with all of them. But you do make some. No, but I mean, that's why I like stimulating discussion.
You do make good points. I mean, you got to be very careful when you're dealing with things like that.
Well, I never thought it was in terms of the One Fresno itself and what that denotes and all that. And you give us something to think about on all fronts.
Well, that's what the public thinks about, Well,
let's go.
Where's that going? Well, why is the same board members? But you got to come out and explain that before it does become a big question.
And there's so many great people that could be board members. Like, just don't basically put a barrier.
You're right. Yeah, and he needs to consider that. He really does.
All right, listen, let's take a quick. We're going to talk about this January 6th commission and what are they trying to do? What the end game is?
Put them all in prison now.
Yeah, them all in prison. But first, we got a caller.
I'm joking.
We got a caller, Steve. Steve from Illinois. Steve, are you on the line there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
What's on your mind,
Steve?
How
you doing, Ro?
How's it going?
You got fans in Illinois,
hey, I've been listening, since the start of your show today, and it started out talking about Russia and what involvement, if any, we should have in that stuff. And then here recently, you're talking about a gentleman that was wanting to run for mayor that's, having dirt thrown on him and stuff and that. What we see going on in this country right now, especially through this COVID stuff, has done more damage to our, how can I say it? It's done more damage to us than what Russia could ever do.
That's a good point.
And people that are, like you're saying, you want to do something to make things better, and it seems like whenever people like that try to start doing something good, they do get dirt thrown on them and stuff. So is this Russia stuff, is that really just a distraction because we have no control over that? And while we're being fired up over something going on in another country, our freedoms, our country's being destroyed every day and stuff. So, I mean, is all this foreign stuff actually just more of a distraction while the real problem is existing right here?
Stephen, I tell you, Steve, I'm listening to you, Steve, and let me tell you, flat out, truthful, what you just said as a possible motive for this administration acting the way it is towards Russia, and the dire scenarios that are being put out, it's kept me awake at night for this reason. And you just articulated, could this be a distraction away from a absolute abject failure of an administration? They have nowhere to turn to find a win. They can't turn to the border. They can't turn to, can't redo Afghanistan, Guillermo, Steve. They can't bring down inflation. They've got CRT, the parents rebelling against critical race. And is this heading up to the midterms, as Guillermo says, a very, very, very dangerous Hail Mary? Let's see if we can distract the American public and get them on our side against the big, bad Russians. By the way, they're the ones that stole the election from Hillary Clinton. They're the ones that come in and even though he was completely cleared of this, I tell you, I hope not, Steve. But I tell you one thing, it has crossed my mind more than once, and it's something I can't get out of my mind. Because when people are in this position where they have power and they see it slipping away, people will do just about anything to hang on to that power. Including go to war. So, Stephen, that's some great. Thank you for calling, really Steve. And please, I hope you'll call back again because thank you, Steve. That's a great call.
And to go where
a great call.
It is, and to go where Steve was going, the left the left right now needs a win. And the left will take advantage of whatever's going on in the world or nationally just to win. Look what they did for COVID. They knew COVID. Hey, this is
for Stephen's right on. Man.
It wouldn't surprise me if this was all calculated. Maybe they need this Russian narrative because, by golly, the media needs to have an enemy. And right now, Biden's in charge. We just got to prop him up enough to be tough against the Russians. And he's going to tell that Putin, who stole 2020, he's going to make them pay.
And, this is the danger. What we're living out right now is the danger when politicians completely disconnect from the people, live only in their little bubble in Washington, only interact with the power brokers, as you said, lay in the landscape for their next job. They disconnect from the people. They don't understand when the people are changing their opinion on things, and they feel that they could actually do something like this and change the opinions. Is David Axelrod, of all people, advisor for the Clinton campaign, really a smart guy.
He is.
Axelrod. He says, sending Biden around the country is a bad idea. I think, too, it's a bad idea for a lot of reasons.
They're going to have a Joe bot.
But he's going to say, you don't send somebody out trying to sell something that people don't want to buy.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that they think they could change people, they suddenly want open borders. They want high inflation, the upside of high inflation, so on and so that believe that his COVID policies are absolutely brilliant. To quote Biden, that actually believe he's overperformed and he can convince them of that.
Alan.
And then they say, my point is, and I want to ask you, you this, isn't it, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but it's to me absolutely frightening when you go into that mindset and you decide you're going to walk into the confrontatory waters of confronting an international power. It's as ideologically, the Russians feel that Ukraine belongs to them. Okay.
No, they do. Yeah.
That's just, and it's your war.
That and other countries.
And the thing about war, the domino thing starts with the most innocuous little incident.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next domino, until what? The first shot is fired. And you're looking at Putin going, come on over, Biden. Come on. There's a lot of people believe that Putin is trying to institute what they call a false flag campaign in Ukraine, meaning you go over there and you create this instance where some Russian soldiers or Russian citizens get shot and killed by Ukrainian forces.
Mm-hmm.
They fired when it was actually manufactured by the Russians as their excuse. What better way now to have Biden blame Biden and American interference? And then what do we do?
But really, you know what? I mean, if they're going to put him out there, really address something like the illegal immigration thing that's going on. Have him go out there and figure this out. If they're going to put him out there,
but he's not going to do that.
You know what? Americans are not going to be able to give out of their pockets, to certain charities. Oh, well, the Americans came up with $3 million for the, I think it was like for the, I can't remember. For the planet, for the ecosystem,
climate change,
and they generously came up with $3 million. Well, we're not going to be able to be that generous anymore because he's put us in a situation we're going to be tapped
out. Inflation's killing everybody.
Yeah,
inflation's killing everybody.
We're going to be tapped out. If they're going to put him out there. Out there to
really
address and fix something.
Well, you're outside of the moral aspects of do you start a war over there or you engage in war is the cost of the war. That's one of the reasons he got out of Afghanistan. Not as much of the moral responsibility. And I'm going to go on record with you. I think Afghanistan, we should have stayed in there, at least with the advisors, for many reasons that we could fill up 2 shows talking about. And we're going to take let me real quick we're going to stay here.
I wanted to answer your question.
We're going to stay here. We're not even going to go away for a break. I'm just going to because I want to welcome one of our new sponsors, the Old Town Cafe. Great place for breakfast, folks. If you're looking breakfast is my favorite meal. I love it. Omelets, pancakes, biscuits and gravy, bacon, all that stuff.
They have a great Eggs Benedict.
Oh, they do. And if you're looking for that, if you're like me, go to Old Town Cafe over there on Pulaski in Old Town Clovis. Have yourself a nice breakfast, but they also have lunch there. If you want to have a late breakfast or lunch, you can grab great burgers, it's just a wonderful place. And here's the neat thing. You're right over there in the antique district.
Mm-hmm,
So you can go have your breakfast or have your late lunch or early lunch, what have you. Walk out and tour down those shops down Pulaski. It's a wonderful experience. So I want to welcome Jess and his entire team at Old Town Cafe as sponsors, not only for the Alan Autry show, but for the Guillermo Marino show, the whole station. And we couldn't be more proud to call them one of our partners here and one of our sponsors. Guillermo, go, your point.
And we were there this past Sunday, by the way. This past Sunday.
Did you eat everything on your plate?
I had the waffles. Oh, man.
And the taters are good, too.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, their hash browns are awesome.
And I had a coffee. And I don't know what it was, but that's not your diner coffee. That stuff was good. It was
it's
weird.
It's a little cup, and I love it.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And I guess they get it right across the street. There's a local roaster.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's where
Service is there. The people that work there are so friendly.
Oh, the sweetest. And it's patriotic. You walk in there.
Very patriotic.
Yeah,
I
like their stuff.
I love it. And then I went to the antique place, and then I saw some toys that I used to play with, and I'm like, why is that here?
Oh, no, I've been going there
I'm not
for years.
that old.
I love it.
Well, yeah, but it makes you feel bad when you're like, I used to play with that. Why is that here in an antique? So,
when I see a Roy Rogers lunch bucket, I just go nuts.
Couple of the best clothing stores
you were going to make a point.
Yeah, I know. My wife spent like $50 on a candle. But we support local, I'll tell you.
Don't get her with my wife. They'll make it. They'll break us.
I don't get out there under a few thousand. Usually.
Shoot, I was going to start making candles myself. So
$50 candle.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It was some alabaster Baltic.
Was it one of those thick ones that last a long time?
I better.
Oh, come
No,
on,
it
you
wasn't. It was
guys.
like this big.
Yeah, a lot will smell good though.
Yeah, for 2 hours, Alan, and then they're done.
But yeah.
And my wife's constellation.
She's turned me into a really a candle aficionado.
But my wife said, "Well,
she'll let you. How about this one, honey?" She'll put it up to my nose. I go, it's like the fine wine.
I like really musky smells. Like really, aromatic.
Well, we are definitely free for all, right? From war in the Ukraine to smelling candles.
just get Putin a candle."
Just light a candle.
Putin, if Joe were to show up with a candle and a puppy.
Essence of Moscow.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It smells like oppression.
You've always been a fan of Putin.
Huh?
You've always been a fan of Putin.
I've not been a fan. I admire some of his positions. Rootin' Tootin' Vladimir Putin.
There you go. There you go.
I am not a Vladimir Putin fan. I do respect some of the reforms he's made there. Yeah, he used to work through the KGB. I know he's got a sordid past. George H. Bush used to work for the CIA. I'm sure they put the little hits on people. It's just the world we live in. But the man, he has allowed religious freedoms back in Russia.
Yeah.
He's, and you want to compare their human rights background right now, their human rights policies with China? Give me a freaking break, man.
That's true.
But go ahead. Do you remember you pointed to the candles?
I was talking about, and I was thinking about, now you mentioned him and his policies. My babushka, my Russian Latvian
what?
What?
No, so my wife is she's originally from Latvia.
Okay,
you didn't know that? Yeah, Esther's Latvian, and my babushka was part of the old
that's
Soviet.
Eastern Europe, right?
Yeah, Eastern Europe, and my babushka is Russian Latvian, and so she has an apartment that has stayed in the family that's from
wow.
Yeah, and it's hers.
Oh, cool.
They gave it to her, and as long as it stays in the family, I mean, it's not in the best part of Latvia. It's really not a nice place. Really not a nice place. You don't want to go on the balcony because you might fall off. But it's nonetheless, it's a place,
but
right?
for Latvia, it's great, right? Okay.
Oh, that's really cool.
It is
for Latvia,
and they are they're very proud. The Latvian people are very small.
Oh, you find that a lot in
Eastern Europe. Small country,
hungry,
and they don't like Putin. They don't like Putin. They know what he's doing. They know, and that's why he said it. And it brings me back to my point. I do a show every Friday, actually, at 5 p.m. this evening with retired Marine Corps Colonel John Somerville. He's an expert on the Middle East.
He's the best.
He's great. And when we talk about what's going on in the Middle East and Israel, he always makes it a point, and because it's a true point, is all these men, these leaders. You got the Turks, you got the Russians, you got the Chinese, you got the Persians. They all want to dominate the world, and they want to take us back to when their country.
Some in the water over there, isn't it?
Right? they want that world dominance because at some point in time, their empires back in the day were dominant. So these men, and that's why the Chinese have been playing the long game. They don't care they didn't care Trump was going to be. I would be there 8 years, max 4. They don't care because they know, hey, as long as we every single year keep marching forward, we're going to be that world empire that we once were.
Longevity.
It is, right? And it's about domination. Mm-hmm. So that's why, and that's what Putin is doing with Ukraine. And he's like, all right, I'll just get this little piece here, and then I'll start going more over to the Baltics and start threatening Latvia, Lithuania. It's about world domination. These guys have huge egos.
Yeah, and in Putin's strategy as well, I mean, a lot of folks have forgotten that during the Obama-Biden administration, that he went and took Crimea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's done this before to Biden, and they did nothing. Obama drew one of his famous lines in the sand, and just like he did with Syria, and so you just don't have a very good outlook over there. Something's going to happen. It'll just be to what level and what degree. So Biden was absolutely correct. Why you say that in a press conference, as you say, you're going to put all your cards on the table, is beyond me. But I heard somebody when talking his on CNN talked about this, and I think he nailed right on the head. Joe Biden has always talked extemporaneously, rambled. As a senator, he always did. He would do these ramblings, stream of consciousness talks, and say things that people are going,
he's got to get out.
But as president, he's never been in a position where, as president, you don't do that. You have to parse your words carefully. One word can cause strain between countries or start a war if it's bad enough. And so he was just reverting back to the only thing he knows. That's how he felt comfortable. just like he's in a Senate Foreign Relations. He was in the head of the Foreign Relations Committee for years and just would ramble and ramble. And Jose, do we have that cut of Joe Biden and Clarence Thomas?
I remember.
It goes back. And if we have it, you can let me know. If not, we'll just keep the conversation going.
Well, he's finding that. The other thing that when I watch, the networks is when they show Biden as a young senator or even as a middle-aged senator, or shoot, even as an old senator, he still is doing much better than he is now. But I remember the Joe Biden, the spunky Biden, the fighter Biden. When you look at old Biden and you look at, well, now really, really old Biden, it's two completely different people. Like, he had some spunk. He used to. Maybe at a different time. I think he could have been and Alan. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm taking it.
No,
but
go.
If I could advise the left, and I got a lot of, but I don't want them to do this. He could have been a really great president. And I know everyone right now watching is probably like, "Oh man, listen, hear me out." But the left isn't this smart. We don't dislike elderly people, right? We don't. We love our elderly here in America. He had an opportunity, and his staff should have been, hey, you're America's grandpa. You go out there, you embrace it. Hey, dude, it's okay if you get forgetful. We all have family, right? We've all seen stuff.
Embrace it.
And if America would have eaten that up, like, what was the question, sweetheart? Oh, you know what? I forgot. Oh, that happens to us old timers, and then come right. But hey, you know what I don't forget is that Vladimir Putin has been there for 20 odd years. Mm-hmm. He's not a good guy, and man, and something like I'll haunt him even in my death. You know what I mean? Something that way it would have sent a message. He could have embraced this.
You're right. I love it.
But his own staff doesn't believe in him, which I think it was their biggest mistake. It's going to be the left's biggest mistake is that they didn't let him out enough. And at the end of this, watch, when he's out of the Oval. He's going to say it. Well, mark my words, at some point in time, him or his family will say the problem was that they try to control him too much. They didn't let Joe be Joe.
I agree. I love your perspective on that. I love it. I mean, I think that you're totally right. If they had embraced his age, embraced his generation, it would have came across so much better than how they did it. It was just they made a mockery out of him.
Yeah.
See, I differ.
And you're right. His team didn't trust him enough.
And the progressive left was like, no, you're too establishment type. So let us take over a little bit of this to prove how progressive you are. And it's an inner battle.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree. I think Joe is being Joe. I think we forget Joe was the vice president to Barack Obama, one of the most liberal, I think, divisive presidents we've ever had. From the Cambridge police when he said they acted stupidly, all bowing to terrorists around the world.
That's true. That is true.
You had, the racial divisions were stoked under his administration. I think he is being him. I think it's good. We're going to find out, but I think you're going to find that there's not a frog hair's difference between his so-called middle-of-the-road approach and the woke far left. I think he was a willing participant in all this. I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit early on. Then I started looking back at his background, his history. No, this is who this guy is. And this woke far left that's in there, when you talk about respecting your elders, there is no more hated demographic or group that the woke far left has in its eyesights than old white men. You can be an old black person, an old brown person, an old Asian person, and you're fine. Maybe there's some of that respect left for the elderly. But you're an old white guy, you are there. They just gritted their teeth because they wanted AOC as the candidate. They wanted Kamala Harris. They wanted Cori Bush, whomever in there. They wanted a far left in there. They thought America was ready. Then when they saw the percentages during the Democratic debates that these people were getting 2%, 3%, the big doo-doo came in. What do we do now? And Joe was a very, very reluctant compromise that they had to make. And the deal with Kamala Harris was made way before. They knew that they were going to bring in a check the box there. And I think sending him out strategically, Democratic, is going to put the nail in the coffin. I'll go as far as to say that they know that. Is woke left, far left. And I'm going to put something on the table.
Yeah.
I think they're looking right now at the 25th Amendment and the alterations that were made. And that 25th Amendment, folks, is an amendment of when a president becomes decapacitated, not killed or necessarily assassinated. We know what happens there, but becomes physically or mentally impaired to where he or she can't function in the office. And changing the succession on that. And Laura Fisher has done a lot of research. And next week we're going to have her on the show and going to lay out how that works. I think a portion of the woke far left wants him to be out there barnstorming. Let me tell you, walking from his office to the podium is a barnstorming for Joe Biden. The man is not physically strong enough to get on a plane, get off a plane, go to Des Moines, Iowa, give a speech selling people something they don't want to buy, go into Connecticut, giving another speech, go into Texas, giving another speech. They're going to wear that guy down, wear him out, and he's going to say, Jill's going to say, I'd like to keep my husband for another 5-10 years.
That's why I'm saying send him places where he can make a difference.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I hate saying this.
Well, don't say it.
Well,
you think he's going to have like some health issue?
I can see
genuinely.
Genuinely, he's already got it. We can see it. I can see him putting this man out there, running him into down, beating him down like a pack mule, and him keeling over during a speech. I see, and then they have what they want. What they'll have the sympathy for Kamala Harris. You'll have a woman in the office. There'll be this big rallying around her.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel that's why I think he's not going to make it to the midterms. They can't go to the midterm. He's not. He's going to keep saying this stuff.
She's not ready.
Well, I know, but they know that Joe is. Joe's digging a hole, and instead of stopping, he's asking for a bigger shovel.
He's going to make it to 2024, Alan. He's going to make it to 2024 because the left knows that Kamala is. They might coalesce around her right away, but Kamala doesn't have the chops, and I don't believe she's mentally there either. So what's going to happen? The same thing that's happening with Biden now. Those same people are still going to keep running the country into the ground. He's going to make it to 2024.
Let me give you a ticket. I wanted to get to this. We didn't get to it. Kim, I want you to respond to this as well. We just got a couple of minutes left.
I agree with you.
In 2024. Just think about it. Don't laugh it off at the beginning. Just think about it. How strong would a Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema ticket on the Democratic Party be?
Non-existent.
If I don't take it. I know the vote getting through and getting, but if it got to the general, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, who has basically the savior of the moderate Democrats, which far outweigh the woke far left, and appeals to Republicans who feel that those two save the country.
Yeah.
And there is more registered Democrats. And what does that do to independents? Does that give them? I tell you, it'll never happen. But I look at that, and I said, if that ticket ever came up with Joe Manchin anywhere on it, the Republicans better be careful, because the savior of that party, Democratic Party, is not going to come from the woke far left. It's going to come from a moderate Democrat. It's not going to be Hillary Clinton. They know that. And so that's why I talk about this victory lap stuff. With Republicans, you better watch out, because somebody could emerge. They said, how is that going to happen? Well, back in the day when George H. Bush had a 94% approval rating after Desert Storm, nobody ran on the Democratic Party. Said, we can't beat this guy, except some dude in Arkansas nobody heard of named Bill Clinton. And he came out and said, we're doing good, but we can do better. And he was good looking. He had the gift of gab, and he went around. The rest is freaking history. But the Republicans, nobody's going to beat us. We got it in the bag, and don't worry about it. It's in our favor. The wind's at our back. Nobody's even running. You better watch, because there's somebody out there. And
usually when he says that, it comes true.
I just don't. I could. Okay, so you're saying maybe Joe will be out. So you're saying maybe a Kamala Manchin, maybe
anything with Kamala in it's not going to
work. No, he's saying something out of the blue.
They won't. No, Kamala is the heir apparent. They are, and I think it was a Washington.
We're probably giving them an idea right now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But Kamala's the heir apparent. There was, I think, a Washington Post article that wrote, like, no, the left, they owe her the presidency. Like, there is in DC, there is this arrogance of, hey, she waited it out. She's there. She's sticking by you. You need to give her shot. So whether that's he leaves early or she does it in 2022, she's going to win the nomination.
But these are unusual circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
You have two people that have set the party back so far.
She's
that
not
are so incompetent. Do you say, do we stay with that horse, or do we say we have to cut our losses You're like a Jimmy Carter.
He's right.
You know, Jimmy Carter was so poisoned.
It's ruined.
If Kamala were a white guy, he'd be out. Kamala is a black female first. They want that more than they want anything else.
It doesn't matter what color or what gender she is. They're blown.
I don't know.
Somebody
we will have this discussion, folks. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. As you make the show, Steve. Thank you for calling from Illinois and all those folks, and Justin in the gym, young buck, 25 years old, I think you are, and you listen to the show, and I appreciate you so much. And I just wish you all a great weekend. God bless you. God bless America. Good Lord willing, creek don't rise. We'll get a chance to do it again on Monday. Bye now.
Thanks for having us.
That's good stuff.
That was great.
That's good stuff. We're still on social media?
Yeah.
Folks, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. We've got to head out and got a meeting we got to go to. But just appreciate you so much. If you enjoy the show, please spread the word. And also,
share.
We got a lot of folks in the South and the East Coast. 4 o'clock Pacific Coast time. Make sure you turn on Guillermo Marino. But the whole team here, we start off, see if I get this right. We start off with Hugh Hewitt.
Yep, Hugh Hewitt.
Dennis Prager.
Dan Bongino.
Okay.
Dan Bongino, yeah.
Who starts it off, though?
Oh, well, Prager starts it off like at 3 a.m. and then Hugh Hewitt and then Bongino.
Hugh Hewitt,
yeah.
and Bongino, yours truly. Then you have Charlie Kirk. Then you have Sebastian Gorka.
Gorka.
Sebastian Gorka, that's what I'm talking about.
I love that guy.
We are American patriots.
Gotta toe the line.
Don't be ashamed. Yes. Part-time radio host. Part-time stand-in for Dracula. Bet you love Dracula's politics. But anyway, you got, I love him too. Just kidding, Sebastian. Then you file with Jim Franklin.
Jim Franklin, yeah.
Then Guillermo Marino.
And me.
You're going live a lot more than you used to.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you're a busy man, though.
It's...
How about Larry Powell?
Oh, Larry's...
Powell of the People is on the weekends, but he does have his good news. Good news, 9 and 4. No, sorry, 10 and 4.
10 and 4.
Now that's...
Yeah, you can't miss Powell to the People. Go on the website, find out terrible with the times. 6 o'clock, I think he said. 6.
I think it's 6. Is that right? Sundays at 6?
Powell to Sundays the people, at 6. Powell to the people. Powell to the people. Come on now, 60s. Right on. Hey, listen, next week, we're going to talk about baby boomers and living through the 60s, because there's a lot of comparisons between the COVID that's here now, all the challenges, mental health challenges and otherwise emotional challenges of this generation of kids living in at the end of 2019, now into 2022, 23, he's going to be with us. And some of the comparisons, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about that and what went on with young people like myself, young back then, going through these things and the effect it has on. I think we can learn a lot from the baby boomers going through what we went through. All right, God bless you. Love you. We'll see you soon.